everybody, and welcome back. Okay, so today it's -17 outside, which makes it, that's in Celsius, so that makes it 1 degree Fahrenheit. It is so cold, it's beyond cold, and we don't typically, like, we get a good winter, but we don't typically get those kind of temperatures. Once in a blue moon, we'll get maybe a couple days, but it's been, I think we're going on 4 days now. It's been nonstop lake effect snow and negative temperatures. And for those of you that don't know, I live in an old decommissioned church, and we've got to watch out for freezing pipes. Me and my husband have done a lot of work to remedy a lot of these issues. However, when we get into these really, really not normal, below average temperatures that we usually get, it really, really, really puts a highlight on things that still need to be done. And so far, so good. But like I said, I've got to get up a couple times throughout the night, flush the toilets, and run the water just to make sure that nothing freezes. So far, so good. But if you've ever dealt with frozen pipes, it is not something that I want to be dealing with in a 120-plus-year-old building, a church, right? It's not something I feel like dealing with. Half of the piping, if it did freeze, we couldn't even access it without having to tear down walls. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Not something I want to be dealing with. It's been really funny because I actually saw a couple posts on Instagram talking about the Kalia and how, if I forget what it is, I think it's when Imbolc comes, if it's a beautiful day, she's busy chopping wood and spring will come soon, and if it's cold and blustery, it means that she's still doing her thing. I don't know, it was something like that. It's probably not even exactly like that, but it was something along those lines. And it just made me realize, just seeing the weather today, it's like, oh man, yeah, like the Kaliyah is still definitely present in where I live. So 100% that energy is still coming through. So, with that being said, I thought today would be a perfect day to look at my decks that I feel embrace winter. That when I look at them any other time of the year, I immediately think of winter. And these decks definitely do that for me. I have my beautiful warm mug of a chai tea here. I have like a chai latte going to keep me warm. And I figured we'll just take our time and look at, I think I have five, maybe six decks to look at. Some of them are oracles, some of them are tarot. It's mismatch. Um, yeah, so let's get in and start looking at what I have. This right here, the Star Tarot, the second edition, this is winter for me. This 100% encompasses the winter energy. It has owls, it has snow, it has icy mountain peaks. It's a majority of the deck have these dark, like winter skies happening in them. Some of them don't. This deck is actually quite colorful and bright, to tell you the truth. However, this deck 100% is like my winter go-to. Now, if you follow along with my channel, I showed the Osho Tarot, and I said that I went to the very, very bottom of my tarot list and I picked decks off of the bottom. This was one of them. And the reason why it took me so long to bring this deck in for me was because every video, every review, everything I saw, watched, read talked about how the Emperor card is misspelled. I can tell you that that is not the case anymore with this deck. So if this deck has been on your list and you keep not getting it because of that reason, that has been fixed. This deck is beautiful. I mean, this deck's got, it's such a, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. It's got this huge, lovely box. This book literally has everything and anything you could possibly want to know about this deck. It has astrological associations, elements, lunar cycles, season, keywords. It goes into like your the author's definition of what the card means. And then it even goes into, and of course I picked one that doesn't have it. Here we go. It talks about the symbolism, and it bolds them, it bold letters them, and says like, if this, you're wondering what the grail means, this is what it means. The 5 streams mean this. The 7 colored jewels represent the chakras. Like it just goes on and on and on, and it explains the symbolism of the card. There's so much. Like this deck is wonderful. If you're looking for a deck to kind of learn about or learn with, that's not your typical Rider Waite, I feel the Star Tarot has a good chance in teaching you a lot, right? So, I mean, just by looking at the backs, let me zoom in. So just by looking at the backs, you can tell that this is a very wintry, starry night landscape, right? Obviously, cards are reversible. It does have the crappy sharp gilding, but it hasn't held me up. Like I love using this deck. It is chunky. Like it is a hard kind of shuffle because of how big it is. But see, like right off the get-go, there is color in it. There is color, there is blue skies. Not every picture is a bleak, cold looking atmosphere, right? But it definitely has that element, right? Like here we go. We've got some bright, beautiful stuff happening, but there's the snow-covered mountains. But I find this deck just to have such a beautiful, beautiful energy to it. And I'm grabbing clumps, right? Like this isn't a flip through. But I love reading this deck in the winter. It's nice to have bright colors, right? Not everything needs to be stark and, doomy gloomy, right? Some of the cards are a little pippish, which I like, but then other ones give you, great detail. There's different nationalities represented in this, which I think is important. And it's just, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. If we see the Emperor card, I'll show you. It is not messed up. It is written correctly now. So don't let that stop you from buying this deck. Here we go. Here he is. See? Spelt correctly. All issues fixed. Some of these cards, like the Emperor and the Empress, I just wish that they made, like it zoomed in a little bit closer to the character on the card. I understand that, it's showing like the whole image, but like you could have zoomed in a little bit on that so we could just see him a little bit more up close. But I mean, honestly, that's just my opinion, right? I absolutely love the way that this deck reads. I love its wintry vibe, 100%. It's amazing. But there's bright color too, right? So I mean, it's not like I said, it's not doomy gloomy, but it definitely gives you that wintry vibe, especially late winter for me. But I've been reading with this now since it came. I think it's been here for about a month now. And like I said, it was on my list. It's a deck that I wanted for a long time, and I kept not getting it because, like I said, I kept reading that like the Emperor was spelt wrong on it, on the cards too, like not even in the book. If it was in the guidebook, that's one thing. On the cards is a whole completely other thing. And I wish, like, I don't know, sometimes I look at them and they look almost like pearled. Like they have like a pearl finish to them. They don't, but there's something about this artwork that has like this opulence to the, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm very smitten with this deck right now. It's kind of out of character for me. And let's talk about this Hermit card. This Hermit card, I think, is one of my most favorite Hermit cards in any deck that I own. That World card is beautiful too. But this Hermit card, obviously it's what's on the cover of the box and the guidebook. But this is like everything and anything that I would want to see in a Hermit card. This is just such a great deck. And it's an older deck. Like, this deck's been out for a while. It's been out for a long time. I believe this is early 2000. 2017. Yeah, so it's an older book. It's by Schiffer. But yeah, so I don't know. I've been really enjoying my time with this one here. So obviously in the wintertime, we slow down, we get into a cozy, quieter pace. And with that being said, I like to use my Marseilles or my Marseille based decks, right? Because I have that time to dedicate to doing a reading and spending time on it. I feel that Marseille, they read very crisp and clean, but sometimes you have to spend a little bit of time thinking about what they're saying and how they're saying it, right? So one of my many Marseilles that I like to work with is the Symbolic Tarot of Worth. This, once again, is an older deck by Los Scarbeo. And this deck, let me get all the title cards in the book out of here. These are some of my most favorite backs, like ever. Double Ouroboros. Yeah, like I'm sold, 100%. So this is a Marseille style. It has like a matted gold happening in it, which gives it this like really cool vintage feel. They are pips, right? But there's a little bit going on in each one that just adds a little bit to it, right? They're not so boring. There's a little bit happening. But I really, really enjoy this deck a lot. I enjoy its messages. I'm enjoying a lot with it. So when I want a precise, clear reading and I have the time to spend, I pull out this one here or one of my other Marseilles. Like I said, I do have quite a few. I have a pretty extensive Marseille collection. And I don't know, I like it. I spend time with it. You know, it has a wintry vibe. It's got holly. It's got just other things happening. It's got kind of more of a spring like flowers. To me, these look more like tulips. And I believe this is mistletoe in the top of this here. So it does have like that, the wintry plants, that wintry vibe to me. So yeah, I do. I really enjoy reading with this one. The images are just beautiful, right? And I really like the matted gold background and kind of like this, I don't know if it's like Art Nouveau, kind of Art Nouveau style in a way, right? Or maybe trying to be more medieval tapestry, but I really, really do like these borders. I think I'm good with them. I like them. I could see people not liking them, but I like them. The only thing that's weird is I think it's the cup suit. I don't remember what suit it is, but they have the knight looking very old and the king looking very young, where I'm kind of, I like my kings to have an age to them, even my queens to have an age to them. And then obviously the knight and the prince or the page or princess, whatever the deck calls it, for them to have more of a youthful appearance, right? So this deck has one knight and king that is reversed and just very strange to me because of that. But I'm okay with it. Great hermit card, great death card, great devil card. I'm enjoying all the images. The majors are great. Here it is, right here. So it is the swords. So like to me, the Knight of Swords looks elderly, right? And then that's the king. Let me see. Maybe we've already passed him, and that would suck if we did. Yeah, we already did. But anyways, you get the idea. The king is a younger looking gentleman, like this king right here. So like it's just that's the only thing that if I was to say something negative about this deck, that's what I would say. But other than that, really like it, really enjoy it. It's your typical nice shuffling low Scarbeo cardstock. Really enjoy this deck a lot. All right, so moving on. This deck, you saw it everywhere, and now I haven't seen it in a really, really, really long time. And that is the Intuitive Night Goddess. This deck to me just I don't know, it's a winter reader for me. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the starry skies. I'm not entirely sure what makes a winter deck feel wintry to me, but this one definitely feels wintry. I do tend to go to it in the winter. And I think what it is there's just so much beautiful flowers and these like dark starry nights. And right now I'm missing 100% missing my beautiful gardens. I'm missing flowers, I'm missing bees and butterflies. And so I feel like when I see this deck, it brings me there. This is the mass market edition, and yeah, it's still a solid user in my collection. I don't go to it as much as I did at the beginning, obviously, but I still go to it, still enjoy it. It delivers good messages. It's a great reader. And like I said, I really like to me this is such a winter, like the high priestess is so winter looking, right? Like there's something wintry about it. Like we've got all this evergreen and laurel and the antlers, and I don't know, it just has such a winter vibe to me. And it sits there for me. And like that's how I use it. That's how I enjoy using it. Very rarely do I pull it out during the summer and definitely not the fall. Sometimes the spring, like early spring. Typically this deck sits in winter for me. I think about it, I go to it, I grab it, where it doesn't seem to come to my mind other times of the year. And it might be because that's when I got it. I got it for Christmas quite a few years ago. I'm not entirely sure, like quite a few years ago. It's been here a long time. This has been definitely part of my collection for a while. And there's just maybe that's why, is because of the whole like I got it in the winter. But to me, it has very much a winter energy. And I just, like I said, it's refreshing to see some of these flowers and butterflies and the different things that are happening, right? And I love their use of crystals in this deck. It's great. But yeah, so another strong winter reader for me. Now, another deck that I wouldn't consider a winter deck, but I'm using it this winter, and I will be actually using it all year long. and that is the Cantagee Oracle. I got this for this Christmas. This was one of my gifts that I was given, and this deck has been on my list an extremely long time. However, I never got around to buying it. So I don't know, it was really weird. This Christmas was the Christmas of odd-shaped decks. I ended up with this one, which is round. I ended up with the Wild Unknown Archetypes, which is round. I ended up with there was another deck that I got that was a really weird shape. I can't think of what it is right now. It's like it's evaded my brain. But there was another one I got that was a really weird shape that I was like, whoa, like I guess this is the Christmas of odd shaped decks. All right, so I'm going to grab the Cantagee Oracle, but I have it sitting out in my altar space because of what I'm doing with it. All right, so you guys, you've seen this deck. This deck has been around for a bit now. But if you, and I didn't even know this was a thing until I got it and I opened it up and I read it and I was like, oh yeah. In here, first of all, if you have an earth-based practice, this is amazing. In this book, it connects you to all kinds of stuff. It gives you symbology, guidance, icon as a portal, as creativity. It gives you the cards that associate with what time of the seasons. It gives you all your different elements in different, we have Taoist, we have Western, there's wonderful spreads. There's weather patterns that she talks about how to use in spreads. There's so much to connect you to the earth that it's amazing. Now, when you get to this part in the chapter here, how to work with this deck, it talks about using this deck like all year long. It's not there, sorry, right here. Working with it in this section here. It says as a yearly practice, because there are 52 cards, you may work with one card per week. And that's what I did. So the winter solstice starts on the 21st or the 22nd of December. So when I got this for Christmas, like it was the perfect timing. So I took out the first card, the dark solstice sun, because I was in that first week of winter solstice still, right? And I've been working with it since. So I decided that I'm changing my cards out every Sunday. So I'm on card 5, the Living Mountain. And just to read about it, like honestly, it surprised me how much these cards have adhered to like what was going on in that time for me. So these are the cards that I've already spent time with, right? And then it just goes into, I mean, we've all seen this, right? And the backs are so beautiful. But it was just really quite amazing that this deck showed up for me at that point, and I was able to start immediately doing a year long with this deck, and I'm excited about it. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I change my card out every Sunday, and it's fantastic. And I love looking at these cute little images. Like they're so cool. They're great little drawings, watercolor, which if you follow my channel, you know I am a huge fan of watercolor art, anything to do with watercolors. So yeah, I was really pumped about this. And I didn't even know that that was how this deck, one of your options on how to work with this deck. I was pleasantly surprised, right? It was really unexpected because I did not know that about this deck. So I was really pumped about it. And like I said, they do like they so far every card as I've come to it on Sunday, it's encompassed my overall energy or vibe of the week, right? So it's been great, especially this one right here. this nourishment, and taking care of yourself, right? And spending time on yourself. And the funny thing is when you first look at this card, you think of it. Sorry, I didn't even zoom in. Let's zoom in here. So when you first look at this card, it looks like a succulent, right? It looks like a cactus. But when you really start looking at it, it's a bunch of breasts, a whole bunch of breasts that just go around and around and around. And I don't know if anyone's even noticed that, but it's amazing. And with this card, it was about nourishing yourself, doing the things for yourself that are important, carving time out for yourself to make yourself comfortable, to take care of yourself, do a little bit of self-love, right? And so this week that I had this card, I spent cleaning out my closets and cleaning my room, and I got a new rug, and I got a new wall tapestry, and I painted and changed the color. And we, me and my husband had to help me with the painting because my shoulders were really kind of messed up, but I did it and I went along with them. Um, and just reorganized and cleaned, and my bedroom is like my sanctuary. My bedroom needs to feel good or I don't feel good. So I took the week and this week, and I didn't even plan it that way. It just happened. I already planned on working on my room before I even pulled this card, and it was just amazing that like it just aligned perfectly. I don't even know how else to say it, but it was great. So I'm really enjoying my time with this wonderful, wonderful deck. And there's so many different ways that you can use it. So even if doing a yearly haul with it and pulling a card once a week doesn't work for you, there's a million different ways and options that she gives you on how to work with this absolutely gorgeous environmental earth-based deck, right? So another deck that I like to use during the winter is the Guardian of the Night Tarot. This is fairly new in my collection, but I feel that this will forever be a winter deck for me. There's something so cozy and comfortable about this deck. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have winter feels. Oh, let's change that. Let's not start out on that card. Let's start out there. Let's start out on this card. It's a bad card to start on. There's just something about this deck. I feel it's like lighting candles, getting into your pajamas, curling up with a big, thick, cozy, heavy blanket. There's just something so comforting about this deck to me. And I believe it's Tarot Magpie who feels the same way. Like, I believe she commented. Yes, she did. She commented on the video that I talked about this deck, how this deck has been such a cozy, comfy deck for her as well, and it most definitely has that vibe to me. The backs are just gorgeous, and there are some winter scenes, right? And this has been the first animal deck that has connected with me at such an amazing level. And I absolutely love that the kings and the queens of this deck all match each other. I think that that's so important. But as you can see, mine's really chipping and I use it all the time. This is like This is my go-to right now for this winter. If I'm working with a new deck and I'm kind of like, ugh, it's not that I don't trust the message. I just feel like the deck's getting to know me and maybe isn't delivering the most accurate message yet to me. I'll put it away and grab this one. This one has come out for my clients. I've read with it lately for my clients, which I'm kind of against because I like having like my own personal decks, and then I have like my customer and client decks. This is not a customer client deck, but yet this has been coming out in my practice, and I might even get a backup copy just to put into my shop and use it for that purpose. This Four of Swords, I love it. I love that he's curled up and he's underneath the log pile and there's snow up top and he's just cuddled up and nice and comfy and cozy and healing or resting. I do. I love this sun card. Like this is just, I'm gushing over this deck right now because this deck is like, it's my thing this winter, like huge. I'm enjoying it so much. The owls, I get such great readings from it. I feel safe with it. I feel like it's got my back. It tells me what I need to hear, but then it seems to also know the days where it needs to be a little bit more gentler with me, and it delivers that gentler message. So it's very much in tuned to me right now, and it. So this is like, I don't know. I absolutely love this. And it's really funny because Tarot Magpie mentioned how magpies are always in like negative cards. And I've noticed that too. But in this deck, they are not. They are not in a negative card. They are actually in a good card. So I could see why this deck has a special spot in her heart because it's definitely a better image of the magpies. And I don't understand why they're on negative cards because they're actually quite comical and they're very funny, smart birds. So I'm not really understanding why they end up on the negative cards. It doesn't make sense to me. And as usual, like MJ just delivers with this deck, right? Like I love her work. I love her decks. I have many of them, some indie, some mass. But yeah, this has just been such a wonderful deck this year to me. And the spider cards, owls and spiders, like yes, please. There's her spider cards and bee cards even in this deck are phenomenal. But yeah, so definitely this has been a go-to this winter for me. This has been probably one of my main using decks. I absolutely love it. Okay, last but not least, I wasn't going to show this deck, but I use it in the winter. It's 100% right around Christmas into the late winter user for me. And that is the Bocelli by Lo Scarabeo. I use a lot of my Lo Scarabeo decks during the winter, I've noticed. I think I always keep the title cards to protect the deck. Now, one of my most favorite backs, like ever. I'm a fan of Lo Scarbeo's backs. This one, and I still have the Worth out of its box. Like, look at these. Aren't they amazing? Like, these are hands down some of my most favorite backs. Those two decks right there. So this one I edged mine. Obviously, it doesn't come edged, right? This one's been in my collection a long time, and it's going to be hard to see because of the lights, right? But it's got gold stamping on all the cards, which adds this like luxurious. These cards remind me of stained glass windows. And in December, I start thinking of this deck comes to mind. And it reminds me of like Christmas. Like Christmas has all of this like ornate details and these embellishments, and there's gold and there's tin and there's silver. And I just feel like that's what comes forward. I believe it's also the jewel tones in these decks, in this deck. And the thing is there's no wintry scenes. But for some reason, this is a winter deck for me, and I love it in the winter. I think, like I said, I think it's like it just reminds me of like stained glass or like obviously Bible images. Like I don't know, there's just something about it. And I'm not I'm not an organized religion person, so like that really is irrelevant to me. But there's just something about it that's like December, Christmas, going into the wintertime vibe for me, into late winter vibe for me. Look at Venus or Aphrodite. I think this is Venus, but it's just beautiful. And just like I said, the embellishments, like it's gorgeous. So definitely a winter reader for me. And like I said, I wasn't going to show it because I'm like, it's not really a wintry deck, but it is to me. I use it and go to it in the winter. This deck doesn't even come to mind in the spring or summer. This, for some reason, pops straight into my head as soon as we get into December. And that's it, right? Look at the Two of Swords, which is a weird image for the Two of Swords. Like they're just like he's punching them. Like it's so funny. It makes me laugh. Like some of these images are just they're hilarious, right? That one works. The Two of Cups. They're pretty good. Honestly, they've done a good job. So I like it. I like this deck a lot. It's a good reader. It's a solid reader. It's very traditional reading, which, obviously suits it. I don't know. I love it. It's a winter deck for me. 100%. And like look at these backs. Oh, they're so beautiful. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites in the winter. Well, there you have it. These are my go-to winter decks. These are the decks that make me feel warm and cozy, and I honestly don't turn to them any other time of the year. They are staples in the winter for me, other than obviously the Kentucky Oracle. We talked about why it's in this right now. But this is definitely not a winter deck for me. I could see it being an all year round deck though, so I wouldn't just stick it in the winter. Where these decks are, they're pretty stuck in the winter in my practice. Um, Possibly not the Guardian of the Night Tarot, but I can see it sitting in the winter spot for me. The Star Tarot 100%. That is going to forever be a winter deck for me. I am 100% putting it into that category and it is staying. And this one has too. The Batelli, like that one, it just stays there. It's been there for years in my collection in the winter decks. So, yeah, I don't know. What winter decks do you guys have? Let me know in the comments. What decks, when that winter wind comes and it starts to get cold, what are the decks that are like your go-to? Like you have to read with them in the winter. Like there's no getting away from it, right? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, so anyways, thanks for watching. Everybody, if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, stay warm because it is brutally cold. And Southern Hemisphere people, enjoy that beautiful weather for me. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.